I need advice on a family issue that's been building for years, and it's a long story. Growing up in a seemingly ordinary suburban Massachusetts household, I, 35F, have always grappled with a challenging family dynamic. My older sister Laura, 42F, has always been the favored child. Our home was practically a shrine to Laura's achievements from my earliest memories, with every wall showcasing her awards and every conversation revolving around her life. I vividly recall my 10th birthday when my parents were too preoccupied with Laura's college applications to get me a cake. They tried to pass off her old graduation cake, still inscribed with her name, as my birthday treat. As I grew up, Laura's successes overshadowed every milestone of mine. My parents barely noticed when I made the honor roll in middle school because Laura had just joined the debate team. They missed my high school art contest award ceremony because Laura was touring a college campus. I learned to celebrate my achievements alone in my room, knowing any mention of them would only earn a fleeting, "that's nice," before the talk shifted back to Laura. Even our belongings reflected the family's priorities. Laura's room was filled with the latest gadgets, trendy clothes, and supplies for her many extracurriculars, while mine was a collection of her cast-offs. 7 years ago, when Laura got married, things took a turn for the worse. For an entire year, our family's focus was her wedding. My parents took out another loan for her dream ceremony, complete with a designer dress, a lavish venue, and over 300 guests. I overheard them one night in the kitchen, worrying about the payments, but insisting nothing was too good for Laura's big day. Naturally, I was her maid of honor, tasked with organizing bridal showers, planning an extravagant bachelorette party, and handling every minor crisis. When I mentioned how overwhelmed I was balancing these duties with my full-time job, my mom said, "Don't be selfish, Emily. This is your sister's moment." Then came the twins. My parents were overjoyed when Laura announced she was expecting twins. Despite still paying off her wedding loan, they helped with a down payment on a house near them. I watched them dip into their retirement savings, funds they'd claimed were untouchable when I needed help with college, on the day they signed those papers. "This is different," they said. "It's for our grandchildren." Guess who became the default babysitter? It started as occasional requests. "Emily, can you watch the boys for a couple of hours?" But it quickly turned into a weekly routine. Then entire weekends whenever Laura and her husband, Mark, 43 million, had plans. My parents endorsed this setup, saying, "This is what family does." Whenever I tried to protest, Laura and Mark assumed I'd always be available. I love the twins, now energetic 7-year-olds, but they're exhausting. Every weekend follows the same pattern. Laura drops them off at my apartment with little notice, claiming she needs me time or has urgent errands. The boys turn my small space into a disaster zone. When I try to set boundaries or ask for a heads up, Laura cries about how overwhelmed she is, and my parents scold me for not being supportive. I've been working long hours to build my career in marketing, and I recently got a promotion offer that would require more hours and travel. At a family dinner, when I hoped for some congratulations, my mom said, "But what about the twins? Laura needs you here." Laura chimed in, "You can't take that job, Emily. Who'll help with the boys?" My dad added, "Family comes first, Emily." When I tried to explain how draining this is, my mom said, "Laura has 2 kids to raise. You don't know what tired really means." Laura accused me of being jealous of her life and her kids, saying, "You're just bitter because you're single, as if my worth hinges on my relationship status." Last month, after a particularly grueling weekend with the twins, during which they broke my tablet and stained my couch, I decided I needed a break. I found a modest resort in Florida, perfect for a quiet getaway. When I mentioned it at our weekly family dinner, my mom's eyes lit up. "That's wonderful. We should all go. The twins would love the beach." Before I could object, Laura was planning activities, saying, "You can take the boys to the pool while Mark and I get some couple time." My parents offered to upgrade my booking to a fancier resort where they'd all join, promising to cover it in exchange for my help with the twins. They completely ignored that this was supposed to be my vacation, planning outings around what the twins would enjoy. That night, lying in bed, I made a life-changing decision. I booked a different resort on a serene island. I kept my new plans secret, quietly arranging time off work, packing discreetly, and ensuring my savings were accessible. I know it's sneaky, but I couldn't take it anymore. At the airport, I'll part ways with them. They'll head to Florida, while I board a flight to my hidden destination. I've turned off location sharing and am bracing for the backlash. I know there'll be drama and they'll be furious. But for the first time in my life, I want to put myself first. For 35 years, I've been the reliable sister, the dutiful daughter, the ever-available aunt. I've sacrificed my social life, my weekends, and my own needs to meet my family's expectations. I've missed out on dating opportunities because I was always babysitting. I've turned down career advancements that clashed with their demands. I've put my personal life on hold to be there for them. This isn't just about a vacation, it's about escaping a lifetime of being used. I plan to use this as a turning point to set firm boundaries with my family, maybe even take a full break from them. I'm tired of always sacrificing, being the family's rock and the fallback plan. Reddit, what should I do? Am I overreacting? Is it okay to want something for myself, or should I just go along with their plans and accept my role in the family? First update, thank you all for your support and advice. A lot has happened since my last post, and I want to share how it played out. The airport day was more emotionally intense than I expected, but everything went as planned. I arrived early and chose a check-in counter far from where my family would be. Through the terminal's glass walls, I saw them arrive, Mark checking their itinerary, my parents looking thrilled, Laura wrangling the twins, and luggage in tow. As they headed to their counter, I quietly went through security for my own flight. My phone started buzzing the moment they realized I wasn't at their gate. First came confused texts. "Where are you?" "We're at gate C9. Then worried ones. "Emily, are you okay?" "Did something happen?" Finally, the angry ones. "How could you do this to us?" "The boys are crying." I turned off my phone before boarding. For the first time in years, I felt a strange mix of guilt and freedom. The guilt was familiar. I'd carried it my whole life. But the freedom? That was new and exhilarating. My resort's quiet island was nothing like the crowded tourist spot they went to. The moment I stepped onto the beach, years of tension melted away. No twins to watch, no family drama to manage, no schedule to follow. Just me and the sea. The first 2 days were tough. I kept checking the time, thinking, the twins would be having snacks now, or Laura usually needs help with bedtime. Breaking decades of conditioning is hard. But on day 3, something shifted. I tried things I'd always wanted to do but never had time for. I took a goofy but fun paddleboard lesson. I joined a beachside yoga class and connected with a group of solo travelers. One night, I had an impromptu dinner with a kind man I met at the resort's cafe. It was just casual, but it reminded me I could have a life outside my family. When I finally turned my phone back on after 5 days, the flood hit. 147 missed calls, over 300 texts, and dozens of voicemails. My mom even called my workplace, claiming a family emergency. Thankfully, I'd warned my boss I'd be on vacation. I listened to some voicemails. My mom's tone shifted from worry to anger to manipulation. "Emily, how could you abandon your family like this? The twins are devastated. Is this how we raised you?" Laura's messages were worse. "You've ruined everything. The boys keep asking for Aunt Emily. I can't manage appointments alone, so Mark had to cancel his." But one message stood out. It was from my dad, and for once, he sounded uncertain. "Emily, I don't understand what's going on, but please let us know you're safe." I'd never heard him speak to me without immediately defending Laura or pushing me to do more. I sent one text to the family group chat. "I'm safe and enjoying my vacation. I'll reach out when I'm back. Please respect my space." Then I muted the chat and focused on myself. The next 5 days were transformative. I read 3 books, not bedtime stories for the twins. I chatted with other guests without interruptions. I watched the sunset every night instead of rushing home for bath time. I even started journaling to process years of pent-up emotions. Last night, at a beachside diner, an older waitress noticed I was alone and asked if I was okay with it. After I shared a bit of my story, she said something that stuck. "Family matters, sweetheart, but not at the cost of your own peace. Choosing yourself is sometimes the bravest thing you can do." I didn't go straight to my apartment when I returned. I'd booked a hotel for 2 nights to prepare for the inevitable confrontation. During that time, I updated my work emergency contacts, changed my locks, and wrote down my boundaries. My family found out I was back when I accidentally liked a colleague's social media post. Within hours, my mom and Laura were at my building, buzzing my intercom relentlessly. I watched from my hotel room across the street, feeling oddly detached from their theatrics. Tomorrow, I'm meeting them at a neutral coffee shop, not my home. I've rehearsed what I want to say, and though my hands shake thinking about it, I know I'm doing the right thing. I'll update again after the meeting. Thank you, Reddit, for giving me the courage to take this first step toward freedom. Second update. The coffee shop meeting with my family was more intense than I expected. Here's how it went down. I arrived early, choosing a corner table with a view of the entrance and exit, a habit from years of anticipating family drama. My hands trembled so much I could barely hold my coffee. My parents, Laura, and surprisingly, Mark showed up together. No twins, thankfully. Before they could launch into their rehearsed speeches, I raised my hand and said what I'd practiced. I'm setting boundaries, and they're non-negotiable. The next 2 hours were an emotional roller coaster. Laura started sobbing, claiming my absence had traumatized the twins. My mom tried guilt-tripping me. "After all we've done for you." Mark, unexpectedly, played peacemaker, suggesting a compromise where I'd only watch the kids every other weekend. My dad sat mostly silent, looking uncomfortable. The turning point came when Laura said, "You're being selfish. Family means sacrifice." Something snapped in me. I replied calmly but firmly, "Yes, family means sacrifice, but it's supposed to be mutual. When was the last time any of you sacrificed for me?" The silence was deafening. For the first time, I laid it all out. The years of being second to Laura, the unequal financial support, the constant assumption that my time and life were less valuable. I showed them my calendar from the past year, every weekend marked with babysitting, every holiday planned around their needs. My mom tried to interrupt, but that's what sisters do. I cut her off. No, that's what hired nannies do. Laura, if you need this much help, maybe it's time to hire one. The conversation shifted after that. Laura stormed out, my mom trailing behind. Mark stayed, surprisingly apologetic, admitting they'd taken advantage of my availability. My dad, after a long silence, said, "We never meant to make you feel this way." It wasn't an apology, but it was something. When they left, I followed through with my plan. I moved to a new apartment in a different part of the city. It's smaller, but in a secure building with a doorman aware of my situation. Only my job and a few trusted friends have my new number. The hardest part wasn't the move or the planning. It was rebuilding my life from scratch. I had few close friends and no real hobbies because I'd spent years prioritizing my family. I started small. I signed up for painting classes, joined a book club, and said yes to co-worker dinner invites I'd always declined. That first weekend of true freedom felt strange. I stayed up late, visited a farmer's market, and spent hours browsing a bookstore. No urgent texts from Laura, no guilt-tripping calls from Mom, no last-minute babysitting requests. My family's reaction to my move was predictable but intense. My mom tried reaching me through the company switchboard, but my new job doesn't allow personal calls during work hours. Laura showed up at my office once, but security was prepared. She sent a tearful letter accusing me of tearing the family apart. The surprise came from Mark. He apologized via email for enabling the situation. He started taking the twins to activities on weekends, though Laura resisted at first. It's a small but meaningful change. My parents are struggling to adjust. Dad sends awkward texts, trying to start conversations. Mom alternates between angry outbursts and cold silence. Last week, she left a voicemail. "When you're done with this phase, we'll take you back." She doesn't get that this isn't a phase. This is my new reality. Work has improved dramatically without constant family interruptions. I'm more focused and productive. My boss noticed and put me in charge of a major project. I'm also casually dating, taking it slow. The biggest change is internal. I no longer carry the constant anxiety I lived with for years. I've started working out regularly, eating better, and sleeping soundly. My therapist, yes, I've started therapy, says I'm recovering from what she calls chronic family stress syndrome. Last weekend, the twins sent me a gift with handwritten notes saying they miss me. It was bittersweet, but I stayed firm. I wrote back carefully, explaining that I love them, but need time to take care of myself, though I doubt Laura will read it to them. An old friend I ran into yesterday said, "You seem lighter, like you've shed years." She's right. Despite the angry texts, the emotional manipulation attempts, and the lingering guilt, I feel freer. I'm learning that family love shouldn't feel like a burden. True love involves mutual respect, recognizing each other's needs, and support that goes both ways, not one-sided sacrifice. Next week, my new apartment turns 1 month old. I'm planning a small housewarming party with friends from painting class, book club, and work. No drama, no expectations, just people who value me for me. I'll update again soon. Thank you, Reddit, for giving me the strength to make this life change. Third update. It's been a transformative 3 months, and I want to share how everything has come together. The confrontation I both dreaded and expected happened last week. My dad showed up at my workplace unannounced. Unlike my mom's frantic attempts or Laura's emotional outbursts, his approach was calm, almost resigned. He asked if we could have lunch, and we met at a quiet diner near my office. For the first time, he saw me as his daughter, not just Laura's sister or the family's go-to helper. "You look healthy," he said, surprised. "Happier." The observation hung between us, heavy with the realization that he hadn't noticed my unhappiness for years. He shared the family's offer. They were willing to compromise. If I returned to my role in the family, I could have every other weekend free, and they'd even pay me for watching the twins, as if monetizing my obligation made it appealing. Looking at him across the table, I realized they still didn't get it. They saw my freedom as a bargaining chip, not a fundamental right. "Dad," I said, "I'm not negotiating my independence. I'm living it." The conversation that followed was the most honest we'd ever had. I explained how their constant focus on Laura had affected me, not just practically, but emotionally. Forgotten birthdays, ignored achievements, dismissed dreams. His response caught me off guard. He sat silently for a long time, not defending their choices as usual. Finally, he said, "We thought we were doing what was best for the family. We didn't see how much we hurt you." It wasn't quite an apology, but it was acknowledgement. The real shift came when he asked about my new life. I shared my painting classes, my promotion, my new friends, and for the first time, he listened. I showed him a photo of a canvas I'd painted, and he said, "You've built a good life without us." His voice held both pride and sadness. As we parted, he hugged me, the first genuine hug in years, and said, "I hope we can be part of your life again, but differently." That lunch triggered a final wave of family drama. My mom, learning about our meeting, launched a new round of emotional attacks, telling relatives I'm having a breakdown and need an intervention. Laura's been posting passive-aggressive comments on social media about selfish siblings and fractured families, feeling betrayed by Dad's acceptance of my choices. But their reactions don't hit me like they used to. My new life has given me perspective. I see their behavior as an attempt to cling to control over someone who's finally free. My new apartment feels like home now, decorated with my paintings and photos of my chosen family, friends who respect my boundaries and value my independence. At work, I've started mentoring junior colleagues, breaking the cycle of toxic obligation that trapped me for so long. The biggest change is how I spend my time. Weekends are mine to choose, learning French, joining a hiking club, even dating someone who respects my limits. The twins sent me a supervised card last Sunday, full of sad notes about missing their aunt. It tugged at my heart, but I stayed resolute. I wrote back, explaining that I love them but need to care for myself, though I doubt Laura will share it with them. My therapist calls what I'm experiencing post-traumatic growth, building something stronger and healthier from the ashes of the past. She's helped me see that I'm not responsible for fixing my family's dysfunction. Yesterday, Mark reached out, not to blame me, but to share that my stance has shifted things at their house. They've hired part-time help for the twins, and he's stepped up as a parent. Laura's struggling to adapt, but he thinks it's better for everyone. As I write this, I'm in my home office preparing for a work trip next week, something I couldn't have done in my old life. A framed quote hangs above my desk. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is set yourself free. Thank you to everyone who followed my journey and gave me the courage to choose myself. If you're wondering whether it's selfish to want your own life, know this: it's not. Choosing yourself isn't cruel. Setting boundaries isn't betrayal. I don't know what my relationship with my family will look like moving forward. Maybe one day we'll find a new kind of connection, one built on mutual respect, not obligation. For now, I'm focused on nurturing the life I've created, my friends, my passions, my career, and most importantly, my sense of self. This isn't just an ending, it's a beginning. And for the first time, I'm excited for what lies ahead.